When I was when I was in the second or third grade, I went to the library every Saturday of my life. Everything, most of the things that I did with other people, I mean, I like to have 2 or 3 other people around. My mother let me have people spend the night with me all the time, and I always had 1 or 2 close friends, and somebody spent the night with me every night. My brother would be upstairs having 4 people spend the night with him. But there was this lonely thing that I did all my life, and that was read. But my mother's a big reader, and one of my grandmothers, you know, I had people I could discuss books with. And I always had secret relationships with English teachers in that I would stay after class and talk to them. I read poetry a lot. Oh, I remember. I'd been reading a sad poem with a Greek name about how a poet, probably a 17th century poet, had lost his best friend, and instead of going to the funeral, he'd gone off to the woods to have a private, whatever this big Greek word was, that meant, you know, that he would stay there. I was in love with a boy that was a lot older than I was, and I thought he was going to die of cancer. And I must have been thinking about that. I'd been out there, you know, with my same-age boyfriends. So I went hiking off into the woods, and the sun was going down, and it was a cold, dark, late fall day. And finally, I know I went up over the rise of a hill, and I was sitting up on top of that hill saying, I probably had the book of poetry with me too, reading the book of poetry to myself and imagining the death of this person, you know, who's a very healthy 54-year-old at the moment and did not, thank God, die of cancer or anything else. And then I probably, and I remember that I did, wrote poems all afternoon, or wrote on one. I know it was a lot of writing. And in that writing, I was a person grieving over the death of a person. There'd been no deaths in my family except, you know, very old people that was not greatly saddened by. And then when I was satisfied with that and the sun was almost down or completely down, I'd be walking back home in a strange sort of state. And by the time I got to my yard, I'd be myself again, and I'd go in the house and go in the kitchen, and everybody'd say, why are you late to dinner, and why weren't you here, and where have you been? And then I'd eat about 15 pieces of cinnamon toast and drink a whole lot of milk, and I'd be a child again. But I think that that's true of my writing then, and it's true of it now. When I write, I mean, you know, I get up out of bed and I make some coffee and all this, and I'm my nice, normal self, and if my grandchild's been spending the night, I take him home, and then I go into the room where I work, and I'm someone else.